What's up, guys? Sheer Drop Wrestling Podcast here. We are reviewing the Monday Night Raw from yesterday, August 21st, from Quebec. Unfortunately, debut podcast. We are already a man down. Life is cruel that way, but I'm joined here with my bud Andy. How are we doing?
Good. How are you doing, man?
Doing all right, doing all right. So before we get into the long and short of things, this is already going to be a cursed episode one. Neither of us were able to watch this live. We both watched the Hulu versions. So there's going to be stuff that we missed. There's going to be stuff that we didn't pick up on that I'm sure is important, and we're just going to be completely ignorant to it, I guess. So what better way to start?
Going to be doing our best.
Yeah, we're going to be doing our best. We're going to be doing our best. So before we get into, I guess, the play-by-play or the notes that we have and stuff, just overall, what did you think of the episode? Like, did you enjoy it? Like, what didn't you like? Stuff like that.
I thought it was pretty good. Uh, from what I could tell, I mean, I have no comparison to the live version, but
Mhm.
The Hulu version was good. It was sufficient. I feel like there's probably a little bit they could have cut out here and there to give a little bit more of in-ring, but I know that there's also commercial breaks and all that they're going to
Yeah,
have
yeah, for sure.
spots where they're not actually recording to.
Yeah,
So
yeah. All right. What, in your opinion, so what did you think match of the night was? Out of just the little tiny stuff that we saw.
probably probably the main event, that or Gable versus
Yeah,
Gunther.
yeah. I was
That
so
was very
excited for the
good.
Gable Gunther match. I put in my notes, spoiler alert. I just said like, this match is gonna like be sick. And then I was kind of disappointed by the ending, but I
Mhm.
understand where they're going with it, and
Yeah,
I'm glad they're continuing it.
as am I.
Because we're gonna get a really good match out of it, probably at Payback. So without further ado, I guess if you want to start jumping into things, so I've got here. So we opened up with a recap of kind of what happened last week, with
Yeah,
the Judgment Day, where Priest is kind of making it clear that there's just an overall problem with the group. He's aware of that. Finn is aware of that, despite them saying that they've like, buried the hatchet and we're
hash
all cool
things
now.
out, but
They're very clearly not.
no.
There's something going on. And so, Finn's match with Cody and where the briefcase was used, and Cody was actually the one that just walloped Finn with it, got the win. So that's cool. You got the whole JD McDonough piece where he's gonna play into everything.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, but it did end with that shot at the very end. Their arms were raised. They seem to be in unison when they're doing well. And then when they're not doing well, it seems to be always one person's fault.
Yeah,
So, but like I said earlier, we are emanating tonight from Quebec City in Quebec. Sami Zayn, of course, is the first person out, gets that hometown crowd pop. It's gotta be great. It was noisy in that stadium, I am sure. And then I have a side note in here. I don't know why for his heel run they ever changed his music. It's just a bop.
yeah, it really
It's just a
is.
complete bop. It should never have been changed. You could have done something with him being the arrogant, smarky heel, and he still has the fun, upbeat music. They don't do it anymore. Kind of wish they did.
You're not alone in that.
But so he comes out, he gets that huge reaction, and I noted the time of it. We went almost 10 minutes into the broadcast before he even said anything. He
Yeah,
was
we did.
just soaking up that adulation. It's gotta feel great, gotta feel great. But we finally get that welcome to Monday Night Raw in, I assume, French. Um, Picked the wrong language in high school for us to
Yeah,
learn
we
because I didn't
did.
understand anything he or Kevin said all night.
Not a bit.
But that's all we actually get. We get the welcome to Monday Night Raw, and then immediately we get cut off by the Judgment Day. And my gosh, I lost my place here. So we have the all four members. They circle the ring. They come out, and Sammy again says a little bit in French, and then I assume just translates what he says in English. They're in Quebec. You didn't think I'd come alone. Out comes Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is finally making his return. He returned in a dark match a little while ago, but this is his actual first televised debut.
Mhm.
And he just comes out, helps kind of even the playing field with Sammy. Priest gets hit with a stunner. Judgment Day leaves. And yeah, so what'd you think of the opening segment?
Uh, yeah, it was good. There, Sammy definitely did get his time, and I
Oh
think
my
that
gosh,
was
yeah,
good. And it probably felt great to be back home
for
in home
sure. I think this
area.
is the first time that they've been. I know that they've been doing some stuff in Canada, but I
Hmm.
think this is the first time they've been in Quebec since I think what was it, Elimination Chamber when he did face Roman and then lost.
Yeah, yeah, that
But
sounds right.
so that's his first time really being back after that whole push, and it's great to see that he still has crowd support. The crowd still loves Sammy. I still love Sammy. It's just finally cool to see him kind of being utilized how we kind of all feel he should have been being utilized, where he's not
Yes,
always like a main event player, but he's just a reliable hand, and you can put him in any story, and he'll just make it work because he's that good.
yes. Uh, I had in my notes when I saw just Sammy entering at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
Where's Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't think he'd be coming out later,
Yeah.
especially after the recap of last week. But you know, uh,
So that whole segment ends. Kevin Owens challenges any two members of the Judgment Day to a tag team match later, and that there's a couple story beats that happen later on throughout the night involving Rhea and all of the Judgment Day drama that is currently going on. So that'll just kind of play out as the night goes on. We don't actually find out who those two members of the Judgment Day are until the
mhm,
very end when the match actually starts. But it kind of makes sense that the two it is, just for the storyline and continuing the whole kind of implosion of the Judgment Day angle that we've got
yeah.
going on right now. So the very next thing on the card, we had New Day versus the impromptu team of Drew McIntyre and Matt Riddle. Uh, Showed the little recap where Riddle was having some problems with the Viking Raiders. McIntyre did come out to his corner for that match. And now I guess they're gonna kind of ride that like we're a real tag team wave for a little while. But so just at face value, Riddle and McIntyre together, what are you making of that?
It I have in my notes, will Matt Riddle ever find someone that just feels like a tag partner?
That isn't Randy Orton.
Yeah, yeah.
And even then, we're still like at any moment he could just get hit with an RKO, and we'd be like, that makes sense. But Riddle
Exactly.
Riddle just has that like type of personality where it seems like every tag team he's in, his character work is just unknowingly annoying the other person to the point where they have no choice but to beat him up to get him to shut up.
Yeah.
So it's just like a rinse repeat thing, but I mean, it's Riddle. It's, you get what you get.
Yeah.
Um, got in here. I'm kind of tired of Riddle just wearing the little baby trunks.
Hmm.
Um, it's very distracting. I don't like it. The man needs to wear more clothes. Um,
Yeah, I would
he
appreciate a
doesn't
bit
no knee
more on the
pads, no elbow
trunks.
pads, doesn't wear shoes. He just comes out in like the smallest trunks in the world. I'm just
A
saying.
couple settings off from a speedo.
Essentially, it's
Yeah.
very close, very close. But this match was, okay.
Mhm.
It starts off immediately with Xavier Woods. Not, I don't want to say doing like a heelish thing, but immediately just kind of like yelling at Riddle. He's like, hey, like, you guys are not a real tag team. Like, just trying to really still establish that, like, yeah, these two guys are just thrown together.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that this isn't like the whole Riddle McIntyre thing might go on for a little while. Because if everyone's like, you're not a real tag team, they're gonna be like, we're a tag team until Drew probably like kicks his head off.
Yeah.
Um, Realistically, how like do you see yourself getting tired of this?
Um, I could see myself enjoying it a good bit, especially with the spot in the match where it looked like Drew was about done with match shit, threw him over the top rope,
Yeah,
but he landed it and they just gave each other like a big thumbs up. I was there for it. I did really enjoy that.
I thought
Um,
that was a really good spot. The throw, like you said, the throwing outside of the ring,
yeah.
and Riddle's just having the time of his life, which is I just don't get him. I don't get him. He's too happy. Too happy.
There was another spot in the match too where I felt Drew was just Matt's hype man at one
Mhm.
point. Can't exactly pinpoint when it was, but I think it was after Matt had hit something on Kofi, I believe. But Drew was just doing a good job of being a tag partner and hyping the other person up in the ring.
Yeah.
So I could see it working out for a good bit. Um, they don't have anywhere to go with it though, and it's just kind of you're not real tag partners.
Hmm.
Let your tag partners shtick for a few months, then it's going to get a bit tiring if that's all that they have to come out of it.
Yeah. See, I don't think it'll ever get to the point. I mean, I don't see them being serious contenders
Mm-hmm.
for Sammy and Kevin. But I mean, they might be. This could be one of those things where like something happens, the crowd gets behind it, it just gets organically over,
Yeah.
and then like it's up to WWE whether or not they like run with that ball. But I personally just don't see it. But the actual like I guess not the play by play, but just more into the actual match itself. It's a lot of like back and forth. It's standard
Mm-hmm.
tag team. Riddle ends up taking the brunt of the New Day's offense, and
Yes.
it goes into not the formulaic type of tag team match where they kind of cut the ring in half and they really keep Riddle out of his corner. It just hypes up that anticipation. Uh, for the hot tag for Drew to get the
Mm-hmm.
crowd to come out of their seat and go like, yeah. It's a formula old as time, but it works. It works. I was
Yeah.
sitting there on the couch. I'm like, come on, Drew, come on. But I believe you were talking about the tide kind of really shifted when Kofi was jumping off the top. Riddle gets him with like a knee
That's
square in the jaw,
yes.
and he's trying desperately to get to that corner. And then out of nowhere, Viking Raiders interference. And Drew gets pulled off the apron. Now lets Kofi capitalize. He hits Riddle with that SOS. Or no, it was the Trouble in Paradise, excuse me.
Yes.
And they get the pin. Immediately turns into just a post match beatdown angle. You get the Viking Raiders in there. They're beating up New Day. They're beating up Riddle. Uh, McIntyre is,
Savage kick from Ivar on Kofi. I was
yeah,
not. That came out of nowhere for me. I was not expecting that.
it's always so like baffling how athletic both of the Viking
Viking
Raiders
Raiders.
are, especially Ivar. Like
Yes.
just dude doing like moonsaults and stuff. Like I just it's absurd, absolutely absurd. But Drew, of course, comes in to save the day. Does the kind of thing that I'm not too fond of where very popular singles wrestler is able to systematically dismantle people who are in a tag team.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes Drew look strong, but it makes the Viking Raiders look not very strong. If
Yeah.
a dude who just had a match is able to beat both of them and they're fresh, not that he like beat them, but he got them both to kind of like get out of the ring and leave and stuff like that. But
Yeah. He was able to, you know, get everything to simmer down a bit.
yeah, yeah. Which I mean, it is Drew McIntyre, but at the same time, it's like it's a tag team. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they can get one up on him, but
I mean, Drew did spend most of the match not in there too, not in the match as
yeah, and
well.
that's the other thing. He waited on the apron. He only got a little bit of stuff in before New Day was able to just kind of like isolate Riddle, and then the whole finish
Mhm.
happened, and that was that. What was next? We got the backstage interview. It's JD McDonough and Finn, and Jackie is kind of well. Finn even insinuates that she's stirring the pot by saying like asking if JD is actually the one that's causing all this tension in Judgment Day. And Finn is just not having any of it. And it sounds like deflection. I think it is JD. Uh, I see Judgment Day as it is, not existing too far into the future.
Mhm.
Whether it be Priest is out and JD is in, or if Finn leaves and he starts his thing with JD.
Mhm.
Um, but that man is definitely causing some tension within that group that really wasn't there until Finn kind of started talking to him a bit. So
Absolutely.
I say, how long do you give Judgment Day
Um,
before they just kind of
I want to say probably not at Payback, but the following pay-per-view, there might be some big explosion. And that might be when we finally see what it currently is dissolve and either it be Priest leaving or Finn also. As you stated, it also could be Finn is the one that leaves.
Yeah. So during that interview, Rhea comes in and tells Finn that like, they need to talk and stuff like that. JD tries already going. This has like been a recurring thing where she
Mhm.
goes, "No, he's not invited. It's just Judgment Day business." And Finn kind of shoots him a look and he's like, "Okay, I get it. Like I'm not invited. Sorry."
Yeah.
But I mean, Rhea, you can already tell like she's been doing some pretty good character work. I mean, her in-ring is always really, really good.
Oh,
But this iteration of her, like her character work with Judgment Day has been so good. And you can tell that she is just mentally and physically exhausted of dealing with Priest and Finn and kind of JD on the outskirts of him kind of butting in where he's not needed. And
hmm
I don't want to say it makes her a sympathetic figure because she's in the most dominant kind of heel faction that isn't the bloodline
yeah.
right now, at least most dominant on Raw. I'll say that.
hmm
But yeah, it makes me wonder where they're gonna kind of take the story and how far away we are from the actual, like you said, the dissolving of it and kind of where the pieces will fall after
Yeah.
that. And then after that, we had, I would have said match of the night. Like I said, we kind of touched on this earlier. The finish, I didn't like it in the moment, but I like what it means for Gable. We
Yes.
had Chad Gable versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Chad Gable wins asterisk by count out, so he is not Intercontinental Champion. Um, what did you think of the match?
uh, the match, sans the ending, was very, very good. And towards the end, I was thinking, wow, I would really like more of this. I'd like to see Gable and Gunther in the ring again, and was trying to rack my brain around a way that we could have that happen
Mhm.
again. So while I am also moderately displeased with how the ending happened, I am also very much so looking forward to seeing the two of them hopefully in the ring again for a hopefully properly ended match for the Intercontinental Championship.
For sure. So you could, I mean, I don't know, like it just never felt like the match picked up into like that second gear. Like
Mhm.
both of these dudes can just go. I mean, it's their literal job to go,
Yeah.
but like they both just in ring, they're like on that upper tier that the WWE currently has, and like they can just throw down like nobody's business. And the match never felt like it was going to get there because
Mhm.
it was a TV like a TV match
Yeah.
and not on pay-per-view. But then, like you said, like with the match outside of how it ended was phenomenal. But I also too really want to see more Chad Gable and Gunther. And with Gunther getting actually so close now to the longest Intercontinental Championship reign in the
Mhm.
history of WWE, I think he's like a week or so out,
I think they said 8 days
8 days, yeah,
yesterday, I think. So
until
today it'd be a week.
yeah. So like until he chops like Honky Tonk Man into dust,
Mhm.
like Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful keeps promoting, and I want to see that so bad. Um, but part of me actually like wonders once Gunther breaks that record, you know, because payback's gonna happen after he breaks that record.
Yeah.
Is it Chad Gable's time? Is he being rewarded for all of this like effort that he's been putting in with him and Otis and Maxine, the whole Alpha Academy?
Mhm.
And after Gunther breaks the record, like that's it. He has the record.
Yeah.
He can technically lose the belt like whenever.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like it's Chad's time.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Seeing as I don't think Chad has had a singles title. I could be wrong there.
He has
Uh,
not.
yeah.
He has not held singles gold in his entire time in the WWE.
Yeah. So I feel that it would be a good both end to Gunther having the championship as he's broken that record. He has cemented his place in WWE history, so to say.
Mm.
Uh, and it's, you know, while Chad did technically get the first win that anyone has gotten against Gunther, I believe,
Yep.
and it was through count out. Uh, I do feel that if that match were to go into second gear, as you put it, that you know he could very well, you know, take the title home that night.
Yeah. All right, and we are back. Had to cut. Technology is not our friend today.
It
So
really
we
is
were
not.
talking about the Chad Gable and Gunther match, and as much as I want to keep talking about it, we should probably just move on. It seems like the world doesn't want us talking about that match today. Uh, unfortunate, but hopefully, we'll get that rematch at Payback, and it'll be everything and more. So after that, we go backstage again, and it is more Rhea Ripley. It's more Judgment Day.
Yep.
Rhea is getting ready to go out for her match with Candice LeRae, and she basically is asking Damian, like, where's Finn? Because Finn's not there anymore. And he's like, well, we tried talking it out. He didn't want to listen to me. I didn't want to listen to him. And Finn apparently went and he's like, well, I'm going to go talk to JD about things. Now, Finn's not there. We don't actually know what happened. So it could be like a little bit of hearsay here. But Rhea's basically just fed up at this point, and she just says, you know what? I got a match. I'm going to be out there. If you guys don't figure this out by the time I'm back, I'm going to figure it out for you. And I'd be scared of Rhea Ripley, just personally. Uh,
Yeah, me too.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out real quick, just in case, just in case. And then so it doesn't immediately go to that match. There's another backstage segment, this time with Cody, who is out there, and Byron starts interviewing him. And Cody, being the showman that he is like, you know what? The whole backstage thing, it's not really for me. So he drags Byron through the arena. They come out to the crowd, and he does his "So Quebec, what do you want to talk about?" Says it in French. Gets a huge pop for that. And then Byron starts interviewing him. I don't have a lot of notes on this promo. Personally, it kind of felt like a nothing burger of a promo. And
Yeah.
I hate saying that about anything Cody does because I'm like number one Cody stan. But it just felt like a lot of we've got, the main event tonight. It's the good guys versus the bad guys, and the bad guys aren't going to win because they're the bad guys. And it didn't really feel like that there was a whole lot of substance to what he was saying. It was just kind of like the let's put Cody Rhodes outside and the crowd's going to go wild type of thing. Did you get anything else out of the promo or?
No, not really.
Okay.
The only thing of note that I have in my notes from that whole promo was from before they went out to the stage and they were still backstage
Mhm.
when he had the rip on McDonough. And I just
Oh, the
have,
Funko Pop.
yeah, I just have in my notes JD McFunko.
JD McFunko. Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
That's going to be
so
a thing now. JD McFunko. Which that also just felt like it came out of nowhere. That felt like an unnecessary dig on
yeah.
JD. I'm not a JD fan by any means, but Cody seems like he's above like the low hanging fruit, but maybe
Yeah.
he's not. I don't know. Very interesting. And then we have one more segment finally before the Rhea Ripley match. I saw this a lot on like Twitter or X, I guess, whatever
Mhm.
you want to call it. The
Twitter.
absolutely incredible Nakamura video package. I don't know if
Yes.
you saw this like floating around on Twitter before we were able to watch the show. I was hoping that this was in the broadcast because I really wanted to talk about this.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just incredible. Like this is what should have been done with Nakamura from kind of the very beginning. We all
Yes.
thought we were getting that year that he won the Rumble, and then we got that main event, WrestleMania match with AJ. Well, main event. Um, and it kind of didn't go anywhere, and it was actually one of my least favorite feuds of that year because it was the
Mhm.
whole like it was more like Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles Dick. Like it
Yeah.
was just the kick Styles and the
It,
Dick feud rather than Nakamura versus Styles. Um, but this is fantastic. So we got the reveal of what he told Rollins that made Rollins look absolutely shook was Nakamura's like, I know about your back. And Seth confirmed that he does have a couple fractures in his back. And it's not something he likes talking about because he doesn't know how much longer he has um, as a wrestler
mhm.
doing the stuff that he does at the level he does. And that can be both, I guess, in character, and it also felt a little real. It felt a little shoot.
But
If he
yeah.
does actually like have those back issues, it's, probably something he thinks about a ton of, like, how much longer can I keep going at this level before I have to readjust my style? He kind of
Yeah.
already adjusted his style once when he had that like nasty knee injury, and kind of took a lot of the more explosive stuff out of his offense.
Mhm.
Um, but this was just, I keep saying it's fantastic, but it was just Nakamura, and he was so sinister and like brooding, and he's like, "Hey, I know your back's messed up. I'm gonna make it worse." And like it just the whole him being able to speak Japanese in his promos adds that like intangible like final thing that he's
Mhm.
needed. Not that his English isn't good, like he still can cut like for
Yeah.
WWE like an okay English promo, but like when he starts speaking Japanese, oh, he lays it on thick, and it just
Yeah,
like
he
it
does.
feels dark. It feels like he wants to hurt you.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited for this match. I hope it's actually a good match. I still don't think Nakamura has done anything really in the WWE of note outside of like his NXT run was fantastic.
Yeah.
But that was just, back when NXT was the super indie, and it was all just like work rate, and like character work was kind of pushed aside, and like storylines, they were
Hmm.
still good, but it was kind of like the in-ring work. Ever since he's been on main roster, there hasn't been anything that I've really sort of I don't want to say liked, because I like Nakamura. But
There hasn't been much to cling to
yeah, there
since
hasn't
then,
been
just
really
because they haven't
anything.
really. I don't think they've done much to, you know, allow him to do what he can do
Mhm.
in the ring and character work wise. And I would agree that this does really just kind of feel like he finally has a moment to come out and lay it on thick, as you said.
Yeah. So just
And
just something to get him away from Boogs. I mean,
yes,
I like Rick Boogs in like a vacuum. I
yeah,
don't like Rick Boogs with Shinsuke Nakamura.
yeah.
Um,
But
so
I'm right there with you with the excitement because I have been waiting since he came up from NXT to see him do something and see something like this. And I didn't I hadn't seen anything about the promo, the video promo, like the video package before I had watched this and getting to see that. Oh boy, am I excited.
so I have down. I It's one of those things. I don't know if Nakamura necessarily needs to win. I want him to win.
Hmm.
I think Seth putting the belt on him at first was a great like inaugural choice. Like who else was it going to be really?
Yeah.
But now that he's had it for a little bit, and then if he does actually like need to take time off or whatever, or if he wants to even take time off,
Hmm.
I think this is the perfect time because it's already been established that Nakamura kind of knows his weakness. He's going to try and exploit it the
Yeah.
whole time in the match. And then if we get this whole new narrative and like character direction for Nakamura, and then he loses again, like loses the big match again, why should we take him seriously like ever again? Like I don't
Yeah.
want to say that Nakamura needs to win this, but he kind of needs to win this to get that new character over, unless
Yes.
if he loses, it just sends him on like a spiral, and then he just gets like more like
Unhinged.
sadistic, I guess, or unhinged.
Yeah.
And then at like a rematch or something, he finally, pins Seth. But I don't know. The last thing I also want to see is like Nakamura wins and then like Priest cashes in or something like that. Uh, I just want Nakamura to kind of enjoy that time in like the spotlight because it has not happened for him a ton.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of wishful thinking on my part.
I would also like to see Shinsuke have some time
Yeah.
in the light because I've always been a big Shinsuke fan. So it'd be nice to allow him to have a moment and not have it immediately ripped away
Yeah.
by Priest or something.
Up next, we had, if you even want to call this a match, it was Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae. And then I have a little tangent here. Candice has top five music in the WWE right now. That shit slaps. It's so cool. It's so fun. I just wish that they had like Candice on TV more often because I just want to hear that song.
Yeah.
Um, and they kind of there was a little bit of a rug pull in the beginning of the match,
Mhm.
and then it turned out it actually like wasn't a rug pull. Um, it was over, and I think it was maybe like a minute, 2 minutes if you want to count in entrances.
Yeah,
Rhea,
if you count entrances.
yeah. Rhea goes for the Riptide. It gets countered into a DDT, and immediately I'm like, oh, we're actually gonna have like a real match. They're gonna let Candice LeRae be Candice LeRae and actually show that she's one of the best wrestlers in that like on the whole roster, men or
Hmm.
women. And then no, he just gets caught in a clover leaf, and then she taps out.
Yep.
Which yay.
Ooh,
I
that's
I
what
love
everyone wanted to see, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it wasn't going to go any other way. I knew she wasn't going to win.
Hmm.
Um, but at least a little more. At least
Yeah.
a little more. I get that it makes Rhea look dominant and it makes her look like this imposing figure. And it helps because of what she did to Candice just now. It
Yeah.
also makes Raquel look good because Rhea just took one of the best women on that roster and folded her up like a pretzel, made her tap. And then here comes Raquel and is actually going like blow for blow with Rhea and actually is able to get a one up on her. And it kind
Hmm.
of helps Raquel look a little stronger going into that match. But she comes out, she has the fake injury angle, she gets the crutch, starts going to town, goes back into the ring, couple strikes, couple blows. What'd you think of this whole thing? So the Candice match through like the whole like the injury angle with Raquel. Like, are you excited for this at all?
Uh, I think I would have been a bit more excited for it and whatnot if we had actually gotten to see Candace do a little bit. I get that it was TV and they probably had time constraints or what have you. But I was really looking forward to
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
Candice in the ring with Rhea. Uh, I do appreciate that they had Raquel come out and go blow for blow and have her looking really strong for her return and coming for Rhea and everything. But I really just feel like we should have had, I mean, what would have twice of the length of the match have done? Really? Taken an extra minute of time?
yeah.
Like,
I hate to say it, but like we could have probably gone without that Cody Rhodes promo and just kind of
yeah.
give the extra time to the women. I know, hot take, but the women's wrestling scene not doing too hot right now, either
No.
WWE or AEW. So let's just kind of
Let's give them some more
let's give them
time.
some time.
Yeah. They can they need it and they can do well with it too.
Yeah.
So
So I don't know. Maybe it'll be a big like coming out match for Raquel at
mhm.
Payback, and she'll enjoy. I don't think Rhea's gonna lose that title anytime soon.
Nah,
She's
I'm
the
right there
one
with you.
member of like Judgment Day that I feel is very much so connected with whatever she has.
Mhm.
Um, like Priest could do the Money in the Bank thing like whenever. Dom, I just pretend he doesn't have a title right
He has a
now.
title.
He does. Well, not that you'd ever know. I mean, well, he is in NXT tonight
Yeah.
for that show, but
Mhm.
we just pretend.
I'm right there with
We are cutting backstage again,
you.
and
Yep.
we are back with Judgment Day. Um, it's just more of the same, more of the same. And then we've got the Seth interview, and this is where he acknowledges that some of what Nakamura said was true.
Yeah.
He does have those issues in his back. He says he doesn't know how much longer he has at the level that he's currently performing, but Nakamura is like dragging, you know, his personal life into things,
Yep.
which is a mistake. He basically gives all those like the vague threats of like, my family, you don't bring my family into things. And he keeps telling Shinsuke, I'll tell you what I've told you before. I'm not a hard man to find. If you want to find me, maybe in the middle of that ring, dressed to the nines, and like he'll be out there. So he's giving Nakamura kind of like that call out.
Yep.
So with next week's Raw being the go home for Payback, I assume there's going to be some sort of something that goes on, just to add a little kindling to the fire, kind of get more heat for that match going on. And then we've got the main event, which was, well, the main event, and then it turned into something else. Go figure.
Yeah.
So it was originally, the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and they're calling out of any two members of the Judgment Day. Of course, it was going to be Balor and Priest.
Yep.
Who else was it going to be? Ideally,
They're the ones button heads, so
yep.
throw
So
those two in the ring together.
throw them together.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a few notes from like a play-by-play thing. The match
Mm-hmm.
immediately just erupts into a brawl. The bell doesn't ring for like the first minute or two. There's just
Yep.
everything going on the outside. Finally gets a little under control. The bell rings, and it's just a lot of back and forth. I've got like KO goes for a stunner, gets countered in with Sling Blade. Both
Mm-hmm.
men kind of just collapse onto the mat again. It just feels like they're buying a little bit of time because obviously this isn't the actual main event of the night. Feels like they're
Yeah.
just kind of going through the motions enough to set the story up. Um, and it's over really, really quick. While they're down, JD comes out. He tries to give the briefcase to Finn to let him use it in the match. Kevin Owens just takes it, wallops Finn right in the face, right in front of the referee, not a care in the world. Immediate DQ, and then it just spills into more chaos. Uh, Cody comes out to make the save. Sammy is already like getting jumped by the Judgment Day, so Cody
Mm-hmm.
comes out to be the I guess the equalizer, if you will,
Yeah.
and immediately rechallenges Judgment Day. He says, this isn't how Raw is going off the air tonight. There's three of us. There's three of you. Let's do it again. What'd you think of how they set up the actual main event? Like, do you feel it was effective, or do you think that they could have just like gone about it another way?
Um, I feel like there wouldn't have been anything wrong with Cody having in his promo that he cut earlier in the night, just essentially challenging them to a three person, like a 6-man tag match, then and there. Um, I get what they're going for, I suppose, with Cody just kind of sitting on the back lines, waiting until they need help, because that's kind of what they did for him, all that in the previous week. Uh, I feel like we could have just cut out a little bit of that to get
Mm,
right into the match. Because not to like cut ahead too much, but
mhm.
it did just really feel like the match was just KO and Sammy after, like in the 6-man. It really just kind of felt like it was a 2 against 3
Yeah,
towards then.
because what Cody didn't actually get involved until the literal finish,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then that was it.
yeah, yeah. He got involved right there at the end, and then kind of just let Sammy and KO finish him after that. And so I feel like we could have just gotten that to begin with.
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like it.
I do have in my notes that I do really feel like that briefcase is just bad luck for Finn Balor, though.
Oh, 100%. Tony
Every
cannot catch
time,
a break right now.
no, he cannot. Anytime that thing is nearby, it is going into Finn somehow.
So then the actual main event is now
Yeah,
the 6-man tag, all
yeah,
members of Judgment Day that are not named Rhea Ripley. And then Sammy, KO, and Cody. I have a couple side just tangent notes that I took because I wasn't at this point I was kind of zoned out of just like, oh, this is the route we're going down again.
me
So
too.
I've got a couple just asides.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that I noticed, where did JD go?
I don't
uh, dude got hit by Sammy and then just took a nap on the floor, I guess, for the whole
Yeah,
match. He didn't get involved in like any post match anything. I guess he just walked to the back.
I guess. I feel like if this was a time, if they were trying to go for some angle where JD's, trying to implement himself somehow and what's going on with the Judgment Day, that would have been a good time to do so because he was already out there. The whole Judgment Day was already out there, and they're about to get involved in another match. So why should he just fade away?
Yeah, like bro turned into like a force ghost at the end or something there. He just wasn't
Yeah, just
involved. He was a non like an inconsequential figure.
yeah.
And he's the whole reason that the six man kind of got started. So like
Why is he not involved in any
where'd he go?
way?
Where'd he
Yeah.
go? Um the actual match itself, it got started during the commercial break. The last thing we
Yep.
saw before the commercial was Adam Pearce walking out of the back, basically telling Judgment Day, get back in that ring. We're doing the Cody idea. Six-man tag. And Sammy's just getting beat up by, of all people, Dominic Mysterio. Sammy hits a back body drop, kind of gets a little bit of like the tide change. KO comes
Mhm.
in. Dom tags to Finn. Dom tags back in, or Finn tags back out. It's just a lot of like back and forth type
Yeah.
action. I've got another aside. It does like this zoom or like this close up shot on Rhea. And just
Mhm.
the first thing I notice is like her ears seem to be going up in size like every single week.
Yeah.
I don't know what she's at right now. It's got to be at least like a 7/8, but
I think so, yeah.
it's either like 7/8 or she's up to an inch. But like, I don't know how she wrestles like that. Even when she was at like smaller sizes and stuff, it's just
Yeah.
baffling to me. Even like Jeff Hardy, and like he also has like large ears. And it's just like how it just seems like a huge inconvenience. Just seems like it would hurt
And a risk for
and
literally
a risk
anything
for
to get
tearing.
caught in there. Ugh.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, there's the spot where KO is kind of getting handled by each members of the Judgment Day respectively.
Mhm.
Goes to the outside because he hits that cannonball to the outside on, I believe
It was
it was
Priest.
Priest.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Priest.
And then they kind of give him a little what's for, and then Rhea Ripley body slams him, which got a
Yeah, she
huge pop.
does.
Which at this point, just kind of let Rhea do some stuff in the men's division every now and again. Because
Yeah.
they were gonna tease it earlier. Oh, they kind of teased it
Hmm.
when when the challenge was originally issued to the NE2 members.
Hmm.
She said specifically, she's like, "Well, I have my match with Candice tonight, so I can't participate." Which makes it seems like they're teasing and testing that there might be a match with Rhea facing someone in the men's division
Yeah.
in the future, and I am all for that because like it would just make Rhea look so like incredibly dominant,
Yes.
more so than
More
she
so than
actually
oh,
is.
she already does. Yeah.
Like she kind of already is the one wearing the pants in the Judgment Day,
Yep.
and the fact that now just like that belt's not coming off of her anytime soon, she's just like in this impeccable spot to be right now. Let's see what happens. At some point, Cody gets pulled off of the apron or hit. I didn't quite catch it. Um, and it
Hmm.
kind of leads into, I believe it was Sammy trying to go for the hot tag, but he wasn't there, or it might have been the other way around. Uh, no, so Sammy was the one that got the tag instead of Cody. It felt like they were
Yes.
building to the Cody hot tag because they even zoomed in on him
Hmm.
specifically on the apron. Um, So Sammy ends up getting the hot tag going in. Um, Finn is distracting the ref. Rhea crotches Sammy on the top. It's just, the numbers game, the thing that the
Yeah.
Judgment Day does all the time. Priest is able to capitalize off of that. He hits a South of Heaven, and the that would have been it. That would have been the 1, 2, 3. KO is able to slide into the ring, break up the
Yep.
pin. And then we get that feel good moment at the ending where it's Cody and Dom eats everyone's finisher. He
Yep.
gets a crossroads. He no sells it. He stumbles into the corner. Um, Sammy hits a haluva kick, the haluva kick into the stunner, and Dom is just staring up at the lights. Good guys get the pin. I liked the camera direction at the very end, whether it
Hmm.
was purposeful or not, while it's their arms are all raised and stuff. You see Priest in the back just like dragging Dom's body out of the ring, and Dom's not like moving at all. He's just corpsing, but
Just
like not like the laughing corpsing, like dude is just dead.
yeah,
Um and yeah, and then it just goes off the air, and the good guys won because they're the good guys and Cody Rhodes.
yeah.
So that was it.
Something.
That was Raw. I'm sure there was a lot more. I looked at the WWE article for the night. Apparently there was
Hmm.
some more stuff that happened with like the Trish, Zoe, and Becky stuff that's been
Hmm.
going on. I saw that they were just featured superstars in the article, so maybe I don't know what happened. It just wasn't in the Hulu version
Could
of
have
the
just been
broadcast.
a
So I'll
backstage promo or something that they
have
cut.
to go back and check and see exactly what we missed.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I guess you guys can comment down below. Let us know, what did we miss by watching the Hulu episode? What did you think of tonight's Raw? I thought, it was okay. It was the most Raw episode of Raw. It just kind
Yep.
of kind of right down the middle. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever seen, but it also,
It
I didn't
wasn't.
want to stop watching it at any
Yeah.
time. I was engaged enough to just kind of see where it's going, and that's more or less due to the direction of the whole Judgment Day thing that's going on right now. I think for all the benefit that the Bloodline has done to SmackDown and having those stories weave in and out of the show all night, every single week,
Hmm.
providing that constant sort of like, I guess, forward momentum
Yeah.
for the show where you kind of want to see what happens at the main event. I feel like that's going on in Raw right now, especially with the Judgment Day, with just everything that's going on, the implosion, adding JD, and then you have Cody involved with it, and the undisputed tag champions involved with it. It feels just like it's kind of like their home base,
Yeah.
more or less, where it just feels like when in doubt, you hit the Judgment Day button and you give
And
them something to argue about for the episode, and then it's compelling enough that it doesn't make me initially like want to change the channel.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was everything. Uh, like we said, debut podcast. We are a man down. Unfortunately, life is unfair. But if you guys liked what you heard, or if you want to see more, leave us a comment, hit that like, subscribe, all that other fun stuff everyone tells you to do all the time. But we have been the Sheer Drop Wrestling team. Signing out.